refuge in Allah from Shaitan the accursed. With the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Surely for those who believe and do righteous deeds, there are gardens of bliss in which they will live forever, an absolute promise of Allah. He is the mighty and the wise. He has created skies without pillars that you may see, and placed mountains on the earth, lest it shakes with you, and spread over it all kinds of creatures. And we send down water from the heavens and cause to grow in it every noble pair. This is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now show me what is created by those others beside him. Rather, the transgressors are in open error. We gave wisdom to Luqman alayhi salam and said, be grateful to Allah, and whoever is grateful is in fact grateful, then Allah is free of all needs, worthy of all praise. Remember, when Luqman alayhi salam said to his son, while he was advising him, my dear son, do not ascribe partners to Allah. Indeed, ascribing partners to Allah is shirk and is grave transgression. We commanded man to be good in respect of his parents. His mother carried him in her womb despite weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years. We said to man, be grateful to me and to your parents. To me is the ultimate return. However, if they force you to ascribe partners to me about whom you can have no source of knowledge, then don't obey them. Remain with them in this world with due fairness, but follow the way of the one who has turned himself towards me. Then towards me is your return, so I shall tell you what you had been doing. Jazakallah khair for listening. Dr. Zaki can reflect on.
Sadaqallahu Azim. Brothers and sisters, let me see please. How is now? Is it good? So my brief talk will be for our graduates. We have 7 graduates. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, they are known and they are accepted by Allah as the students of knowledge. Seeking knowledge, looking for knowledge is so precious in Islam, is that when they walk, angels are putting their wings under their feet because they are precious, because they are looking for knowledge. They are attaining knowledge. Talibul ilm. They are talibul ilm, talibatul ilm. Inshallah. And it is not ending with one graduation. Actually, it's not ending with any graduation. It is until the end. I just found something from Ahmed ibn Hanbal. Ahmed ibn Hanbal used to carry his ink box, whatever, with him, always. At that time, they didn't have pens. They would have, like ink, and then they would have a kind of cane pen, and they would write with those type of things. So Ahmed bin Hanbal is an imam, was an imam. Imam, one of the founders of Mazhab, one of the 4 great Mazhabs in Islam, Mazhab Ahmed ibn Hanbal. He would carry this so that whenever he would find someone who are talking some good things, he would take a note of it. And they would say, Imam Ahmed, you have become an imam. You have so much knowledge. Why you are carrying still this ink with you? And he would say, Al-Mahbara ila al-Maqbara. Al-Mahbara is the place that you put ink in it. These will stay with me until the grave. These will stay with me until the grave. Because I will look for knowledge until I die. I will always increase my knowledge. So inshallah, now we are graduating one step, which is very beautiful. And then the next step will be another graduation. The next step will be another graduation, inshallah. But the knowledge will be continuing, inshallah. Learning will be continuing, always. We are people of learning, inshallah. Sometimes I ask my students, what is the religion that starts with read among all the religions of the world? The answer is Islam. Iqra. The first command. The first command ever comes to the Prophet of Islam, read. That is enough for knowledge, for encouragement of knowledge. And that's why, alhamdulillah, Muslims read and read and read, and then created a remarkable civilization in human history. One thing what we do, and this is very important, intention, to have a pure intention. We need to have a pure intention. So what is the pure intention? To do everything for the sake of God. Why I am becoming a doctor? Why I like to be a doctor? I asked one of my students once, probably Maram even may know this person. I said, why you like to be a doctor? And she responded, this student was not a Muslim, but her iman actually was an Islamic. She said, the reason I like to become a doctor because my grandma died of cancer. And I loved her so much. I like to become a doctor and cure the patients of cancer. I said, that's a remarkable intention. So inshallah, when we have this intention, whatever we do will become an act of worship because your intention is good. If you say, I like to become a doctor because there is too much money in it, yeah, that is not too bad, but the intention becomes worldly. The intention becomes worldly. But if you like to say, I become a doctor because I like to help people with their diseases, this becomes eternal. Because that help is a worship, inshallah. So, very briefly of the Luqman's advice, Luqman alayhi salam, we say Luqman alayhi salam because in one narration he was a prophet. Luqman was a prophet of God, one of the prophets. So he advised his son and his daughter, probably because in the Quranic language it's a son, but daughters are also included. While reading this section, the part that Brother Amir recited, especially the last part of it, that Luqman advised his son, saying this. It is about verse 13 to 19, so about 6 verses. But in these 6 verses, there are so important principles. I try to take these principles from this message. I found 11 principles of Luqman's advice. One, I will be very brief, inshallah, in 15 minutes I will finish. La tushrik billah. Do not associate anyone with God. That means make Allah your first priority. Nothing should be more important than Allah for you. Nothing should be more important in your life than Allah and His message. Every other thing is secondary. The first one is Allah. La tushrik billah. That means do not put anything before God. Yes. The literal meaning is to associate someone with God. Do not make any association with God. That is the real meaning of it. But in also related to this, in relation to this, do not make anything priority more important than God. Allah is more important for your life, for everything. And the second, which is very important, be kind to your parents. To your parents. Never forget that they helped you to grow. They helped you when you were very, very young. And especially the verse speaks of mothers. Mother carries you in her womb for 9 months. Wahnan ala wahn. Difficulties after difficulties she faces. And you grow up and you forget this? That is not fair. You should never forget to be kind to your parents. Be kind to your mother and father. And in the Quranic language, mother is emphasized. Mother is emphasized. And actually, there's hadith also supporting that. 3 times mother is mentioned. So one should not ever forget the rights of parents on themselves. Children, be respectful to your parents. Be kind to your parents. Another principle, pray. It says pray. Obud lillah. Pray to Allah. Only to Allah. Pray to God. In Islam, we will say pray 5 times a day. In the Quranic language, it doesn't say 5 times, but pray indicates that. Pray 5 times a day. You might have a class. You might have in college, well, make arrangement and have your prayer. If your class is going to be too long, then have your prayer before that. So make arrangement for your prayer. Do not abandon your prayer. Command good. At your capacity, do what is good. Do what is good and ask people to do what is good. Not only doing, asking people also, serving people to do good things. Forbid evil. If you see something that is evil, prevent it. Prevent it. Try to prevent it if you can. If you cannot prevent it with your hands, at least in your heart, don't like it. That's also a level. Be patient against what touches you. It is the life of human being. Our life is not monotonous. Sometimes we will have difficulties, sometimes we will have easy times. So when something difficult touches you, be patient. Be patient. Patience is so important because a person sometimes may lose their control and then they may destroy their afterlife. So that's why patience is so important. Islamic scholars are elaborating patience. Patience on continuing prayer. Patience on continuing avoiding sin. And patience against calamities, difficulties. This is another principle. Don't turn your cheek back to people. That means don't look down at people. Don't consider people lower. You know, it's a sign of arrogance. People are talking to you, you just turn your face, you don't look at them. Don't do that. This is not a good behavior. Luqman alayhi salam is telling his child, don't do that. Don't walk arrogantly on earth. Arrogantly. Walking arrogantly, I don't know how walking arrogantly, but I think everybody will understand when you feel arrogant when you walk, so don't do that. When you walk humbly. There is a verse, إِنَّكَ لَن تَحْرِقَ الْجِبَالِ. You cannot reach the mountains, the top of mountains. Don't be like that. Don't walk arrogantly. Be in the middle on your walk. Not too lazy, not too heavy in a way that's showing a kind of show off. Be in the middle. And the final one, lower your voice. When you speak, when you talk to people, lower your voice. Don't yell. Lower your voice. Lowering your voice has big impact. And the rest of the verse actually says, the most detestable voice is the voice of donkey. The voice of donkey is the most detestable one. Don't make your voice like the voice of donkey. Lower your voice. And if you like to be really effective in your communication with people, lower your voice. That is more effective. That is the Quranic advice. And these are principles of life, inshallah. I will be finishing with this. May Allah bless you, and may Allah give you and all our brothers and sisters here a great success in this world and in the afterlife, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, the next guest speaker, Maran Omar, please come and have a
Maran,
seat.
come forward, please.
Thank you. Can you give him the mic?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you can turn.
Hello everyone, my name is Maram Amir and I'm a rising senior in John Carroll University. I am also the Vice President of JCU MSA. And for today's topic, I'm gonna speak why it's important for us as college students to join MSAs. When I started at John Carroll University, I was my biggest fear was that there's a lot of fitna in college, as we all know, and especially in a country like the United States of America, when it's not standard. So when I started college, my biggest fear was that my Iman, my Islam would decline. So the first thing I made sure that I did was to join an MSA as a member. And I think that was the best decision I've ever made in my whole life. Because as a member in an MSA, they will make sure that you stay on top of your deen. We all get busy in college with studying, exams, and everything. And sometimes our deen will become our last priority. However, having a club like an MSA that you always go to these events that they make, it just helps you to keep on track. It just reminds you that there is a God, and that's the reason why we live in the first place. We always, especially nowadays, are very busy getting degree after degree after degree. Elementary school, middle school, high school, college, PhD, then working. We often realize that our first priority in life should be studying Islam and getting to know Allah and just preparing for our eternity, for our life after that. Because there is a quote that I heard, which was, people always tell you, prepare for your life, but they never tell you to prepare for eternity. Because at the end, this life is just very short comparing to the after. So just joining these MSA, attending this event just reminds you of what comes next and does not make you stay consumed with the worldly affairs that we are in today. So in John Carroll University, we have our MSA have grown so much in the last few years. When I joined in, we only had a few Muslim students. We did not have a lot of students, and we only had an interfaith prayer room, which was up in the library. It barely holds like only 10 people can sit in that room. When we always pray in there, and we like have our lessons and stuff like that in that room. However, after a year of me being there, our community started to grow, and we asked for a bigger room. So then they gave us another interfaith prayer room, and which was a lot bigger. However, by the third year, which is last year, that room couldn't fit us all in that college. So now we're asking for a bigger room. Alhamdulillah, our community keep on growing, and our club is growing much more every single year. And this year we have a lot of students who are joining us. So whether you're going to John Carroll or going to another college, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you surround yourself with Muslim people who will always keep on reminding you of the day of judgment and your first priority in life. And there is a saying in Arabic which says like sahib sahib, which means your friends will always pull you. So to make sure that you have the best friends in college, I think joining the MSA is the first step, because it's important that you have at least one Muslim friend by you all the time. It doesn't matter if you have non-Muslims friend. However, when you have Muslims friend with you, surround you all the time, you will always feel surrounded by like your family, your community members. You will never feel that you're an outsider. When I was in high school, I was the only Muslim girl. I lived in New York City, and I was the only Muslim girl in the high school. So I was always feel like an outsider, because there's so many things that American does that I'm not allowed to do. So not having these friends always felt I was excluded in so many things that they can do what I can't. However, starting in college, when I had those Muslim friends, these my family at college, it was a lot easier for me to maintain my iman, for me to maintain my Islam, and I never excluded or that I can't do anything, because these people who's by me, they do the things that they're allowed to do the things that I'm allowed to do. So it was a lot easier for me to practice Islam with these people around me. So all I want to say is that just make sure you join MSA or have 1, 2, 3 Muslim friends who will always remind you of Allah. When I'm always studying as a pre-med student, I'm always studying in college. So when I have that one Muslim friend who would come by me and they would say like, where did you come from? Like, oh, I just finished praying. I'm like, oh, I did not pray today. So that just reminded me of my prayer of that day. Sometimes my friend would come like, Maram, I've seen you studying all day. Have you prayed today? And that's just one like simple example of how my friends at college helped me. As for like the MSA as a whole, in John Carroll, we have these like events where like we call them Deen and Da'wah, and that's just simple way for us to be reminded of Allah. So these Deen and Da'wah, we would have our like sheikh. We would have a sheikh who would come in and he would speak about topics for younger people, for college students that are very like people like find it very normalized to do nowadays. So just like simple reminder for us. And he would speak about Muslim character of Islam. How can we stay away from fitna during college? How do we stay steadfast with all of the studying and everything that we have to do? So that's like one event that we have that always help us. So even if you're not a member, even if you're not a board member, just make sure you go and you attend these events, because they help a lot on you growing as a Muslim. And it's just a very simple way for you to stay connected to Islam, to stay connected to Allah in this very, very busy world. And another thing that we have at John Carroll, which we started last year, and inshallah it will be a yearly event that we do. It's called an interfaith panel. And in that panel, we had a sheikh, a rabbi, and a priest who would come, and they talked about the end of times, the topic of end of times, and how different and how similar it is in 3 monotheistic religions. And we had a lot of good feedbacks about that event, and inshallah we will keep doing it every year. But that event just showed how Islam is like very similar to other religions, but like very like some things are just different. And we had a lot of good feedback. And alhamdulillah, and this year we had a student who converted to Islam, and inshallah we would have many more in the next years. So our own purpose, I love my MSA so much, and that's why today I came in. I did not prepare anything because I truly wanted to talk from my heart. I truly wanted to say how I feel about MSA. And it's just a way for you to help you keep, as I said many times, reminding you of Allah, reminding you of the purpose of your life. And it just helps you to drive to be a better Muslim every single day, even by the littlest, like the smallest thing. You don't know what will affect you. You don't know what will make you go to Jannah. So just make sure you go to these events. Just make sure that you stay connected with Allah, and make sure that you did not get busy with studying, with school, with the life that's happening at college, because college life is very different than high school. You will be busy all the time. You will have so many things to do all the time. So just by going to these small events, it will just remind you of so many great things. And in mashallah, inshallah, it will help you to be a better student as well as a better servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum.
Next guest speaker.
And now for the next guest speaker, who is also a board member of my club, Farhan Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Farhan. I am the executive officer on the JCU MSA board. And Maram kind of hit everything on the dot about JCU MSA. But I guess I'll give my own experience. So I'm a rising sophomore right now. So I just finished my first year at John Carroll. And being in the MSA, well, first off, coming to John Carroll, I was very scared because it's a predominantly Catholic school. So I didn't think there'd be anyone like me, Muslim. Really, the only Muslim I knew was Dr. Zaki. So that was pretty much it. But I remember walking in the library one of the first days of school. And I walked into a room and I'm sitting there doing my homework. And one of my friends came into the room as well. And I knew him from high school. So I was like another Muslim I knew. And he came in with two other Muslim kids. And I'm not a shy person, but when it comes to like meeting new people, I tend to be a little hesitant. But these Muslims, they weren't hesitant at all. They kind of introduced themselves to me. They're very chill, to say the least. And at JCU, there's a lot of Muslims like that. I was really scared that I wouldn't find any Muslim friends, given that one, I'm a freshman, and two, just like my personality. And just going to that was kind of like the start of my entire friend group at John Carroll. And then joining the MSA and going with that group of friends, that just expanded my Muslim friend group even more. And I'm really glad that those two Muslim friends came into that room that one day, because if they hadn't, I don't know where I'd be, honestly. And joining the JCU MSA, there's one thing being on the board, which is just, planning events. For example, we had like Maram said, the dinner and da'wah events. We have several different spiritual events as well. We have every Friday, I believe, after Jumu'ah prayer, we all have a prophet series where we'd go to a room and we'd turn on the projector. We'd have a video playing of just a story from the Quran about some prophet. And we'd all, like, after the 30-minute, 40-minute video, we'd all have a piece of paper and we'd reflect on what the speaker in the video said. And that alone just brings you closer to Islam, one. And doing it along with your Muslim brothers and sisters is a whole different experience than just watching it alone. Another part of it is when it comes to like academics, having a Muslim friend group is really beneficial. They kind of hold you accountable for your deen, which is a really good thing. I know that when me and my friends were studying for finals or really any other test or doing homework in like the library, we'd all like kind of put an alarm on our phone, or have like the Islamic Pro apps and all that. And we'd stop, we'd all go pray together, we'd all make dua together, and we go back to studying. And just having that friend group there to hold you accountable for those kind of things is really beneficial, because one, it brings you closer to Islam, and two, you're getting homework and studying for tests with them as well. So that was kind of my experience at John Carroll. Still have 2-3 years to go. But yeah, I'm really, really glad I joined the MSA. And if a worry about making friends, Muslim friends in particular, if that's a worry for you, it shouldn't be, because you have two things in common. One, you're both Muslim, and two, you both want to succeed. And having those two things in common, one, elevates your deen, and two, helps you better prepare for your future. So that was my experience at John Carroll. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Sabria Zaman from the OSU MSA.
No, you're good. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sabria Zaman, and like Farhan said, I'm from the Ohio State University MSA. I'm a rising senior, and this past year I served as the secretary for our MSA, and then the previous year I was the IT chair for our MSA. So pretty much, as a lot of you might know, OSU is a massive school. It's huge. And so a big thing for me going in was that I was really scared about how I was going to make friends. And especially for me, I graduated during 2020, which was peak COVID time. So I didn't even go in person my freshman year. And I was so nervous because I'm a very, I would say, like extroverted person, and I need friends. And I was so nervous because who was I going to talk to? Since I'm the oldest sibling in my family, I didn't really have anyone to get advice from. So I was really depending on my social network. But alhamdulillah, our MSA is so strong that even during the COVID year, when I didn't even go in person, they had so many events on Zoom that I really felt like I was in this family. And then sophomore year, when I finally came on campus, it felt like I was meeting all my online friends for the first time, but it felt like we had known each other for years, or like since I was born. So alhamdulillah, our MSA is really great in that respect. I really like the way that our MSA is set up, and I feel like the three components in our MSA are how we should try to live our entire lives. So the three ways that our MSA is organized is that we have our educational events, so like our halaqas, and those focus on like Islamic topics. So for example, we'll do series of like in JCU, they do a similar one. We do things about like the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life, and then we'll do things about mindfulness, and then also how to use prayer as a tool for that. And I've really learned so much from the Halaqa because OSU, and especially the Columbus area, there's so many Muslims that you can connect with. One thing I really love about Ohio State's MSA is that we have a lot of good connections, CARE being one of them. We do a lot of events in conjunction to them. So of course you're getting that Islamic education, but you're also getting a networking opportunity because we have things like a CARE banquet. So you'll get to talk with like Amina Barhumi, who's the director of the Columbus CARE chapter. So I really enjoyed that aspect. And then also we have a service aspect. So we have something called Project Downtown, where all the Muslim students can come volunteer, and we pack meals for homeless students or homeless people around the campus. And so I think in Islam, you know, service is a big component. We are supposed to help each other, whether it be in our careers, but also as a volunteer initiative. So I really like how our MSA has that service aspect, but we also have a service chair, and they really introduce us to different like causes that we can donate to. And then finally, of course, we have a social aspect, which I feel like a lot of people, you know, they were mentioning before. There is, of course, a lot of fitna, I suppose, on the college campuses. But like Farhan mentioned, and like Mara mentioned, if you surround yourself with the right people, you don't really have to worry about that, because of course people are doing what they're doing. And especially if you live in a dorm, of course you're going to see that in your peripheral vision. But when you are surrounded by all these amazing Muslims and you're all growing together, you're all focusing on your deen together, I mean, it's really easy to kind of ignore that, and they kind of pull you back down to earth. So for me, I would say join an MSA. I know there are definitely stereotypes. The stereotype is like, oh, it's Marriage Student Association. At least people say that about Ohio State's MSA. But honestly, if you're there with the right intention, like intention is everything in Islam. If you haven't, like, Dr. Zaki mentioned, if you have the intention to become a doctor because you want to help people and not because you want to get rich, I mean, obviously you'll be rewarded for that. So for example, like when I was secretary, even though I always found myself, my job is kind of like administrative stuff. It's like, nobody, it's a thankless job. I would always get mad, like, I book all these rooms for our 200 members and nobody thanks me. But if I have the intention, like, okay, I'm booking this room for our halaqas, I don't know, maybe Allah will reward me. So basically anything you do with MSA, as long as you have the right intention, like I want to surround myself with righteous people. I want to learn more about Allah. I want to learn more about, how to be more on my deen. I want to learn more about the Prophet and I want to do more service, then Ohio State's MSA is definitely the place for you. And also, according to MSA National, apparently we have the biggest MSA, which is really nice because we have a lot of international students. We're not just like mainly Desi, we have like Arab students, Black students, we have a lot of reverts as well, which is really nice. So it's just a really nice community for you to be able to immerse yourself and I guess just enjoy your time. I really could not say like enough about it. Like, even if you guys want to come, I know Atib, I think he's like the only graduate that's going to OSU, but like if anyone's even interested in OSU, definitely like talk to me because I have so many great memories. But something I just want to like plug real quick is that our Ramadan, like, so we just recently last year, we give free meals every single day. So I know something that's a really like big concern for people who are not commuters and who do live on the dorms, like Ramadan, I'm not gonna lie, it is hard. It's hard when you're not with your parents, when you don't just show up, like, you take a nap right before, like right after Asr, and then you show up and the food is on your table. Like, you have to either like cook for yourself or go to the dining hall. And if you don't have any Muslim friends, you spend that time alone. But what I really like about Ohio State's MSA is that Ramadan is such a communal time. Like, I was very nervous my sophomore year, but it ended up being great because we would have halaqas, we would have Quran circles where you can recite Quran. Sometimes we would do like events where we like a qiyam, like we do a sister's qiyam and a brother's qiyam. And then also just like the location of Ohio State, it's close to so many different mosques. The like most popular one is Noor Islamic Cultural Center, but the one closest is Omar Al-Khattab Mosque. So, having these mosques close by, and then also if you don't have a car, like honestly, just ask any Muslim, like literally ask any Muslim. They will probably drive you or direct you to someone who can. So I guess my biggest piece of advice, regardless if you go to OSU or like another college, is like, if you do see a Muslim person, especially like for girls, right? Like if you wear hijab, like it's very obvious that you're Muslim. The guy, it's kind of harder, but maybe you'll figure it out. But if you see someone who's Muslim, or whether you're at the praying room, like you're at the prayer room, if your school has one, don't be afraid to ask them a question, because especially if they're an upperclassman like me, I'm a rising senior. Whenever freshmen come up to me, I'm always so excited to answer their question, because they know what it's like. They've been there. So definitely don't be afraid to ask questions, and really just enjoy your time in college. Like, of course, there are going to be things your parents are going to be worrying about you, but at the end of the day, you're practicing your deen on your own terms. You're going to Jummah because you want to, not because your parents told you to. You're going to these MSAs because you want to. There's nobody telling you what to do when you're in college. You're on your own. And that freedom you can use it as a weapon, but you can also use it as something to your advantage that is going to benefit you. So yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice. And yeah, thank you. So our next speaker will be Asia Zaidi from the Case Western MSA.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How's everyone doing? Are we excited for the food? Because I know I am. So as she said, my name is Asia Zaidi. I am currently a rising second year at Case Western. I'm on the pre-dental track. And I do have a couple of notes because I don't do good on improv, but I've had a couple of my own experiences with adjusting to college, and like the transition from, graduating high school and then entering a college as a commuter, as a Muslim, as someone who just started hijab. Like, it was a lot to get used to. So I definitely just want to hit like a few quick points about, staying in touch with your Islamic side. And before I begin, I do want to make it clear I am no scholar, so please forgive me for any mistakes that I make. So regarding my MSA, it was definitely one of the first things that I looked for. As all of our speakers said, like, I feel like as a Muslim that comes from such a big Muslim community, that's the first thing that you look for. And it did help me surround myself with people, but I feel like a challenge that no one really mentions in MSA is picking apart the people you want to spend time with in the MSA. Like, you have your your Halaqa friends, and you have your, oh, let's go pray together before finals friends. So for anyone who's graduating, like, I think that's just a really important topic to discuss, especially because like Case, OSU, JCU, like, we have huge MSAs, alhamdulillah. Thank you. Yeah, we have huge MSAs, but it's just important to like really know who you surround yourself with. The second point I wanted to talk about was, honestly, for a lack of better terms, like an identity crisis. I feel like that is, something that I really had to deal with going into college. There was a lot of freedom that you just have at the palm of your hand. And you have to decide what you want to do with it, whether that's, excuse me, whether that's, going to Jummah. Like, that seems like such a small thing for our parents, but that's so important for us. Like, in this community, truly, like, as someone who is, like the baby in the community and has seen it grown so much, I feel like our parents have, spoon fed us everything. And college is where we have to decide what we want to do. So, the other thing is, like, since we have this much freedom, we learn by making those mistakes. So, like, personally, getting that freedom made me realize that I want to learn Islam spiritually instead of culturally. A lot of times it was like, oh, let's go to Eid. It's just you'll get Eid and you'll get good food, but I never, actually valued the Eid namaz that I was praying. Like, that's so important. And being away from home really makes you put a lot of value into it. And then the next thing is, role models. I feel like that's such an important topic. There are so many people here, like Sabria, Zahra, and even Arsalan. All of them have really helped me decide how I want to present myself, how I want to think, what mindset I want to be in, all in good faith. But, to be clear, like, all of the friends and family friends that you make here, you grow a lot closer to them after moving from Solon. And they end up being that like source of comfort and familiarity. So, it just really helps a lot to ask them for professional and personal advice. And then specifically, like, Sabria has always been an older sister to me, and I'm really glad to have her. But like, getting close to Zahra and Arsalan, like, it just helped a lot to know that I have you guys when I'm so confused. And it was honestly a source of comfort. And then outside your friends and your family, my parents, being away from home, you realize how important they are, or even your elders in the community. Like, the Saddaq uncle was actually like one of the people that was very dear to me. And this is exactly, it's the right same spot where he was standing, and he was giving me advice on this exact same day. And he said, always don't forget that you will always be learning, and don't forget to stay humble. And, just like Dr. Zeki said, we are the religion where the first guidance that we were given is Iqra, read. You know, we always have to keep getting that knowledge. I feel like that's very underrated. So, you know, I wanted to make that clear. And then it's always important to be willing to learn. So before I pass the mic, because I feel like there are no other speakers, I just wanted to say thank you to Sister Fatima from all of us. You know, I feel like you've been organizing all of these events, and just the fact that this is the second year that it's happening is so important because it shows how much our community is growing, but it means a lot, Sister Fatima. I know we don't say it enough, but all of us, it means so much to us. Thank you so much. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your family.
Ameen.
Ameen, ameen, ameen.
I just would like to say that when I talked to Maram, and I'm like, okay, would you like a government thought? That I'm saying, she was like, oh, it's my birthday, and then it's not, there is no better way to celebrate. By speaking, okay, it's her birthday, mashallah. And then I recall, and Farhan, they were sitting here as students. So today, they came to talk about the MSA, mashallah. So now we have so many graduates, inshallah, this year as well. Okay, I'm sure that we'll have more. So we are going to start with the college graduates, inshallah. So we have this time had only 3, and we start with the Zahra, mashallah. So she's in she's in University, and then she is gonna go to dental school, inshallah. So we have a gift, a personalized gift is gonna be next week, inshallah. Okay, because no, but you have something for you.
Come this way. Now we
Zaki,
I can get it.
Zaki, would you like to?
Just on the behind here.
Yes, so
Behind the chair.
this is symbolic. Give a personalized gift, inshallah, next week. We did that. Yeah, inshallah.
Okay, fine. You can just get that.
We have, sorry, they are not here today, so gonna be. If we have the.
Here you can see.
No, not Maria. It's Maria Mugi, so she got her master's, inshallah, in schoolwork and counseling, and then she's gonna go. She's gonna start her professional career, inshallah. So she's gonna get her personalized gift as well next week, inshallah. Now, then the third is her sister, inshallah, Nadia Malik, who did her master's in public administration and policy from American University, and then she's going to her career, professional career, so she's gonna start working. Okay, those are college graduates who want to speak. Graduates, inshallah. So the first one is Adam Saeed Mahmoud. There you are. So. Tabi, inshallah, next week. Okay. So he graduated from Solon High School and he's going to Kent University, Kent State University, inshallah. I have my 2 daughters. One daughter got a master from there, and then another one from there. So the second is okay. So he graduated from Solon High School, and he's gonna go to Ohio State University. So
I'll get that.
at that lecture, it's Atib. Yes, Atib.
The next one.
Yeah. So there, this is what you're gonna get next week, okay? Inshallah. So Adiba, so then we have Hassan. I know that Hassan and Hussein Simpson. The father is here. His kids, they have already gone in the camp. So we have committed to leave. So they have their gifts. Don't something. Oh. And then sing the other ones. Yes, Pastor Son. Pastor Son.
Another one too?
Yes, this.
Yes, another one, another one.
Correct.
You from?
Welcome. Then have Shmuel. No, she's not. Oh.
Parents?
Yeah. So she's graduating from Seoul High School and then she done her university. Oh, people in the back, one sister. The same steps. Inshallah. Now we have Maryam Hamshek. Mashallah.
Next two.
So you're getting your symbolic gift, but you'll get some personalized gifts, inshallah, next week. Bismillah. So she's graduating from Kensington High School and she's going inshallah. See, MSA, mashallah, you're gonna be very, very rich with students. Mashallah. Yeah. Now we have Hiba Ahmed, mashallah. She's graduating. And she's moving up to Grandparent University. Inshallah, Grandparent will start this year. Then Haya Shahad. She graduated Yishur High School and she's moving to Case Western Reserve University. Asya. You have her. Then Hasima Qasis. And they're cousins, inshallah. Okay, she's moving to Case Western Reserve University as well. MashaAllah. Okay, so CVIC is proud of you, inshallah. And I recall Dr. Tasadduq with us. And we got this kind of cake. And that always just keep smiling, CVIC. Okay, so.
Oh, we want to, Uncle Cadmus can stand here and we'll just. All the parents can also take some. Want to take something? Yeah, right. Better. Picture. Okay. Take advantage of all this picture. I'm gonna try to go. What goes wrong?